Hi, everyone. I'm Bruce from Team Artist Journey, and I'm here to welcome you before we bring Nancy on, even though she's sitting right here next to me. And if you haven't already, please download the class workbook.
Okay, give me a moment. I got to move this slide. I don't know why it's not moving. Oh, there we go. Bruce figured it out. Okay, go ahead, Bruce.
And if you haven't already, download the class workbook, and you can go ahead and do that now. And if you don't have a printer, you can just view it on your screen. The workbook will help you follow along. And I don't know, and I know that you're here today because you want to learn from Nancy. So let's get started. Nancy Hillis is a best-selling author of the award-winning book, The Artist's Journey, Bold Strokes to Spark Creativity, as well as the companion Creativity Reflection Journal. And her third book, The Adjacent Possible, is a groundbreaking book that won the Book Excellence Award and the Reader's Favorite Gold Medal. Nancy and I authored the forthcoming guidebook in the Adjacent Possible series, and it will be released in a few weeks, full of artistic stories. Nancy is the founder of the Artist Journey courses and workshops. Her first book was named one of the top 100 creativity books of all time by Book Authority. She has helped over 22,000 artists believe in themselves, in their art and life. But my favorite way to introduce Nancy Hillis is this.
Dr. Nancy Hillis is a Stanford-trained psychiatrist, but she's also very passionate about being an author. She's been featured in Inc. magazine and the New York Observer. She lives in Santa Cruz, California, right with me. I'll give her a big round of applause and welcome up Dr. Nancy Hillis.
I just love that music they played. That wasn't it great?
In the first Star Wars.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks everybody. I'm here. Thank you so much, Bruce. It's so great to be here with Bruce, my husband and partner. And he's a Stanford educated theoretical physicist, mathematician, and musician. And we have a great deal of fun playing music together and writing art blogs. And there's our daughter in the center playing cello as well. So I'm so happy to be here. Thanks, Bruce. Gotta get that kiss in there. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. And I'm Dr. Nancy Hillis, and some of you may know that I'm a psychiatrist and an artist and author, and worked with so many people over the years. And it's been such an honor to do that. And what I've seen in working with artists over these years is a kind of recurring theme, because I get to see this up close. And that recurring theme that I'm seeing is that a lot of artists start to feel like their art is just simply not measuring up to what they really want it to be. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. And this is really about how do you transform that? I've watched lots of artists transform this problem, have this transformation in their work where, and I believe that the way they do that is by moving around three big places where we as artists tend to get stuck. And I'm going to walk you through a path together so that you can see this for yourself and identify for what that move is for you to move past these places where we get stuck. So let's get started here. Here we are, the three massive mistakes even professional artists make that cause them to not love their art. And here's what we're going to accomplish today on this call. We're going to identify the challenges that are causing you pain and frustrating you, and perhaps causing you to feel stymied and repetitive in your work. And then we're going to find the opportunity within the challenges. So the big idea hiding in plain sight is that we're going to share with you a mind-blowing method that will transform not only your art, but also your experience of creating it. And I believe it's vital to understand this because it's going to make a big difference in how you create art going forward. I'm committed to playing all out here today and holding nothing back, revealing to you the big idea I see that I believe you can implement and start using in your art and seeing results even within 48 hours. In exchange, I ask you to be fully committed to also playing all out and to being fully attentive and focusing on what's going on here, what we're going to look at, what I'm going to show you in this time that we're together. And notice if you feel any resistance or anything, holding you back, just notice that. Okay, because we want to get to a place where there's a transformation in your art. I believe that, the best way to make rapid changes is to really get in there and put your whole heart and soul into it. And I'm going to maximize this time we have together and bring you massive value. So the old way of creating art isn't working. It's rule-bound, it's formulaic, it's predictable, and it says if you just have more techniques, you're going to be great. It's riddled with self-doubt, inner criticism, second-guessing, perfectionism, and the tyranny of technique. You struggle with repeating yourself, with emulating others' art, and getting stuck in the middle of a painting, fearing ugly art appearing, feeling frozen and lacking confidence, and simply not sure how to stop or finish. But the new way, a new approach to solving these problems and this predicament is a game-changing mindset shift that will transform your art and experience of creating art. And this is what I call the big idea. It's something I've been thinking about and developing over the years and implementing as well. And so I asked myself, if you could distill down to just a few things that really make a difference for artists, what would that be? What is that elegant solution? What are those few things? What are those practices that make such a difference? And I realized that it really has to do with one overarching concept. And that is what we're talking essentially about is the inner journey. The big idea is that your inner journey affects everything. It affects your mindset, it affects your psychology, and it affects your ability to believe in and trust yourself as an artist. It has far-reaching implications and potential consequences for your art and life. It's so important, I like to think of it as the Holy Grail. And that is because it affects 3 vital studio practices that I believe are at the core of creating as an artist. And by learning these 3 practices, which is what we're going to do today, you'll overcome inhibitions, activate your creativity, fall in love with painting again, and create paintings that wow you. And it's based on science, psychology, and creativity. I asked myself, what are the few things you need to do consistently as an artist in order to transform your art? And I found that there are 3 massive mistakes artists are making, even professional artists that are standing in the way of creating art that they love, art that wows them, art that surprises them. But before we get into this, I want to tell you a story. For as long as I can remember, I've wanted to live my most meaningful and creative life, to say yes to my dreams, and at times it's been a struggle, and imagine you can relate to that. When I was 17, I was bored with school. I was ready to go to college, ready to take off. And I ended up feeling depressed and really grappling with existential angst. And so I stayed home and I read Dante Alighieri's The Divine Comedy, in particular, the Inferno. And it gave me hope. It kept me going. I remember lying in bed reading that book, and particularly Dante's opening lines spoke to me. In the middle of the road of my life, I awoke in a dark wood, and the true way was wholly lost. So Dante spoke to me across 7 centuries. He was 35, I believe, when he wrote that. And I was about half his age at 17 when I read it. And essentially, these words said to me that I was not alone, that the great Dante was stepping into the unknown, and I was too. But soon something called me. It was medicine. And the day I finished all my training, something else called me. The siren call of art in the form of sculpture. And pretty soon, one thing unfolded into the next. There's a sculpture I carved in marble, and I was drawing figures and painting watercolors, oil, still life, portraits, landscapes, collage, mixed media. And I knew that I wanted to go more and more abstract eventually, more into kind of abstract expressionist art. And I love Cy Twombly and Joan Mitchell and Helen Frankenthaler. And I wanted to paint like that. But I found that I was trying to replicate the work that I loved, and ultimately, this was a dead end. I felt bored in the end, and there were times when it was such a struggle that I felt like giving up. I got busy in my life, and my art kind of floundered, and it was upsetting because I wasn't expressing the art that was inside me. And so I wonder if you can relate to that. I think we often go through that. There comes a day when you face yourself and your darkest, deepest doubts. When you wrestle the dark angels of angst and despair, because the deeper truth I discovered was that I wanted to paint like me, and I wanted to explore the reaches of my own imagination. And one of the lessons I've learned over the years of being an artist, as well as working with artists in workshops and classes, is that being an artist is ultimately an inner journey. While we learn concepts and principles and techniques, we find out that these are guides, but they are not the thing itself. To get to our deepest art, it's about stepping into the unknown and adopting an attitude of not knowing. It's about cultivating exploration and experimentation. And it's about moving closer and closer to our own self-expression. Technique is valuable, but it's only there as a tool to support our expression. We don't lead with technique. This is a big shift artists come to, sometimes after years of focusing on technique and rules and constructs. The dark night of the soul, when you face yourself and wrestle down your darkest, deepest doubts, wrestling down the dark angels of despair. And you see that on the edge of that dark night is the transformation of ultimately trusting yourself in your own voice and vision. And this is a whole new journey. Can you relate to this? To this awkward moment of wanting to finally paint like you? So finally, one day, I discovered how to make that transformation in my art. And that's what I'm here to teach you today. I'm going to show you how you can learn about everything that I've learned over the years of creating and getting into these amazing transformations that's changed over 22,000 artists' lives in art. So what if we've been looking at this problem in the wrong way? This problem of trying to get to your most meaningful art. Because what if it's not really a problem, but rather an opportunity? If you want to open creative channels and move past resistance and feel freed up and liberated in your art, trusting your own voice and vision, there are principles, strategies, mindsets, and concepts that can help you transform your art. And I'm going to show you the big idea and the foundational concepts and practices from the intersection of creativity, science, evolutionary biology, mathematics, theoretical physics, and psychology of creating your most surprising experimental work as an artist. The big idea is that it's about your inner journey. Creating art is an inside job. Whether you're at the beginning of your journey or you're a seasoned professional with your work in galleries and museums. The big secret I learned is that your inner journey, your inner landscape, your inner dialogue, and your mindset is your most important asset. It affects everything. It affects your ability to face your fears and self-doubt and go ahead anyway. It affects your ability to start creating, to move through the messy middle, and to decide when to stop, to take risks, play, experiment, and explore. And it affects your ability to simply keep going when you get frustrated. It affects your ability to tolerate ugly art. And ultimately, it affects your ability to believe in yourself. This inner journey is about trusting yourself, developing a growth mindset, working with your inner narrative, noticing what you say to yourself, and your inner landscape, where you deal with the challenges. This is about noticing the fears and self-doubt that arise and addressing it in a mindful way, asking yourself, what if I trusted myself in this moment with this painting? There's a wonderful concept from Carol Dweck's work at Stanford on growth mindset, growth versus static mindset. And it's the idea that in a growth mindset, that you have the attitude that you can grow and you can learn and you can get better at whatever you're trying to do over time, that there's no limit to what you can achieve. And it's just, you know, the sky is the limit. I mean, you could do whatever if you are committed to it. Whereas in a static mindset, it's really kind of the opposite. It's kind of the idea that talented is limited to a few, that there's a cap on what you can achieve based on your inherent abilities, and you easily give up in a static mindset when you're frustrated and you think it means you're not good enough. So we want to develop a growth mindset and cultivate that as artists. And then we have our inner dialogue. These are the words you say to yourself as an artist in your head, and it really matters. There was some research at Columbia University where they were looking at people giving speeches on stage, and they noticed that depending upon the inner language the person was using, what they were saying to themselves in their head made a huge difference in how they performed on stage. So the overarching concept is that your inner landscape, your inner narrative reflects your inner journey. And your inner journey affects everything. And there's more that we get into in my teachings, but you get the idea of where I'm going with this. So let's now turn to the 3 massive mistakes even professional artists make that cause them to not love their art. In fact, they may be disillusioned with their art. So we'll start with mistake number 3, painting paralysis. This is a condition where an artist is so afraid of making mistakes that she fails to start. The fear of doing something wrong overtakes the desire to create something new. To start is to quite literally begin. It is to cause something to come into being. And the problem is you're simply not starting or not painting enough. Okay, you're not painting miles of canvas. It takes everything you've got to start one painting. And then when you get hung up on that painting, trying to make it precious, and then you work it to death, and it's lost that aliveness that you felt at the beginning. And you may just feel like giving up and avoiding your art because it's so painful. Here's a story. Years ago, I painted oil landscapes once a week, and I'd get together with a group of people, and we would paint 3 to 4 panels in 3 or 4 hours. And if I had a great session, I'd be excited that day. But then as the next week elapsed, I would get more and more nervous and anxious and worried. Can I keep this up? Can I replicate last week's success? So I felt this pressure for that. And I also felt that I'd be disappointed if the painting was a flop. And so this tension that kept building just sucked the lifeblood out of me and the pleasure out of painting. And so sometimes I just avoid painting altogether. And I simply wasn't painting enough. And that became a problem in itself. And I couldn't get any traction because of it. Well, what I didn't know then that I do know now is that the pros paint a lot. Okay, Picasso painted over 20,000 works of art. This is estimated by the Museum of Modern Art in New York. So I learned about lots of starts, miles of canvas. And here's an image from, basically a sample from module 1 of my Artist Journey Masterclass, where we're exploring lots of starts, miles of canvas, and the power of that. And I'll be teaching you some elements from that in this later on. So what is the solution to painting paralysis? The solution is to start. So let's start. There's a concept from mathematics that I absolutely love, and it's called 0 to 1. And this is the idea that the interval from 0 to 1 is larger than any other interval. It's larger than 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and so on. This is a mind-blowing concept from mathematics that we can extrapolate in our art. We can use this in our art. And so it's going from nothing, represented by 0, to something represented by 1. Okay, this is an amazing thing. Imagine that you go from nothing to something. This is enormous. Imagine you've been avoiding your studio. And last time you were in there, you grappled around and you created a painting you didn't like. And you're not wanting to repeat that experience. And so you find other activities to distract you. And the longer you wait, have you noticed this? The harder it is to show up. And this is where 0 to 1 comes in. If you can say to yourself, let's just go in there. okay, and mix some paint, 0 to 1, then that's a huge thing. You could say, maybe I'll explore, orange and green to get variations on citrine, 0 to 1. If you can say that to yourself and remind yourself that it's about starting something, anything, this will get you back into your art. And this is not about creating a masterpiece. This is about starting, putting your toe in the water. And you can start anywhere, realizing that it's a liberating and miraculous thing to just begin. Now, one of the ways we play with 0 to 1 in painting is by creating mini starts. We call it lots of starts. That's a great way to get going. And pretty soon we're creating a series of starts. And why is this important? Well, by creating starts, lots of starts, we open creative channels, right? And that may be laying dormant. We access unfettered self-expression when we're just starting and allowing that. And we move past creative blocks. So this is a huge thing. By creating lots of starts, we create a sense of permission and allowing. Opening up exploratory mark making, stream of consciousness mark making, loosening up your art, cultivating playfulness, exploration, and all of this helps us move past avoidance and procrastination. And we do this in spades in my lessons, because if we don't start, if we don't allow ourselves lots of starts, the danger is that you begin to avoid your art and you feel frustrated and upset and like you're not progressing. And worst of all would be if you gave up on your art entirely. So we got to get in there and start. So here's a tip for you to employ in your studio over the next 48 hours. Go into your studio, create 3 to 10 painting starts, stream of consciousness mark making, and take out sheets of paper to create those stream of consciousness starts. Don't censor, judge, or edit them, okay? Just allow for exploratory mark making. And you might decide to do this to music, as in this example from a live workshop I gave in this clip. That was a powerful one. We had a lot of fun there. So the tip is to then pick out 1 or 2 of those starts. Choose 1 or 2 that you would like to work up further, and then do that. And then keep the rest of them raw and let them live as is. This is a great exercise for accessing your own gestural expression, your own particular and unique lexicon of mark making, and so forth. Does that sound good? Great. Let's go on to massive mistake number 2, licking the paint. Licking the paint is when you're not confident enough to make decisive moves in your art. So instead, you make timid moves and timid adjustments, hoping that you'll create a masterpiece. And I see this mistake often. It manifests not only in licking the paint, but also on a reliance on technique to create successful paintings. Technique is a false idol. So let's talk about the tyranny of technique. This is where artists look outside of themselves for answers, for solutions, for a step-by-step formula, a sort of recipe for their paintings, emulating others and looking for validation of their art through critique and praise. And if you want to know of a great book that talks about the dangers of praise, Alfie Kohn's book, Punished by Rewards, gets at this. And I think it's really about critique and praise, because what we're talking about is behaviorism there. So that's a whole other thing I'm not going to get into today, but we'll just go with that. The danger of this, this tyranny of technique, is painting by committee. Art that is boring and soulless, and it's the lowest common denominator art. These artists believe that they'll become a great artists once they learn all the techniques. Another variation of this is if you just buy all the tools and supplies, you'll get better at art. And so people go from workshop to workshop, technique to technique for years. It's a lot like Arthur searching for the Holy Grail, King Arthur. They think that art is technique. But one day they realize art is not technique, because no amount of technique will get you closer to expressing your deepest art. So it just ends up looking repetitive and like everyone else's art. And you could take hundreds of these technique classes, but it's not going to get you closer to the art of your dreams. And the reason I think is that that's too much of a focus of painting from the outside in rather than the inside out. So instead of focusing on the big ideas, concepts, and principles, which is what we do in the masterclass, we want to get at these big ideas that you can extrapolate from. The problem is lots of people out there are focusing on techniques and details, which is metaphorically like the little leaves and tiny branches on the tree, thinking that if they just paint enough of these details with great technique, they're going to have fabulous art, and it's ultimately boring and repetitive. That's not what gets you to expressing your deepest art. We want to have that core that's more like the root and trunk of the tree. So here's a story. For years, I pursued technique. I thought that if I just learned the right techniques, I'd finally make paintings that wowed me. But it was an elusive thing. And before I knew it, I felt that my paintings looked strategic and formulaic and contrived, as if I were following a cookbook formula. Eventually, I got bored. My paintings were technically good, but they just didn't move me emotionally. They did not excite me. One day I had a breakthrough. I was fed up with these repetitive paintings and tired of looking outside of myself for the answers. I had a dream of continuous line. The next morning I went in and created exploratory works. I created a minimal line and marks, and it was a 26-piece assemblage, experimental work of studies. And at first I felt uncomfortable because they didn't look finished. But what I realized is that these exploratory experimental works had a rawness and immediacy and aliveness that I had previously never attained. And so I just allowed them to live as is and to move forward. And that breakthrough opened up everything after that for me. And I also realized in this the power of working in a series rather than making one particular painting precious. And most importantly, the power of experimentation and allowing for ugly art, quite frankly. So let's talk about the power of experimentation. The mark of being an artist is about being one who experiments continuously, not resting on your laurels, not satisfied with the status quo. It's about stepping into the unknown. I love this quote from Michael Cutlip, who is an artist in Berkeley, California. He said, when I go into my studio, if I already know what's going to happen, it's all over, which is fabulous. So it's about embracing mistakes and the unpredictable, such as ugly paintings, because there are surprise benefits of ugly art. And this is how I think about ugly art. Ugly art is often the nascent embryonic form of new work emerging, new art that's trying to be born. And an astonishing series of paintings and entire bodies of work can come from one ugly painting that you allow to emerge. And I think amazing work emerges from these embryonic forms. So a powerful way to access experimentation is to ask yourself the question, what if? What if I try this? What if I try that? Whatever it is, it could be exploring a rectilinear Cartesian grid understructure. It could be bulbous shapes. It could be a one-color painting. It could be something that comes from a dream. It could be something that you notice out of your own creative impulses. And I submit to you to listen to those creative impulses because exciting things come from that. And it could be anything that brings you excitement and a feeling of aliveness. So why is experimentation important? Becoming a great artist is about the movement of coming closer and closer to who you are. It's about reaching the fullest expression of you in your art. And the answer is not technique. No amount of technique will get you there. Technique is only there to facilitate expression, but it is not expression itself. It cannot lead with technique. What takes you there is the willingness to experiment and explore, which is based on trust in yourself. Here's what happens to artists who avoid experimentation. The art stagnates. It becomes boring and predictable. And worst of all, the artist begins to doubt herself and feel like an imposter. But you're here and we're here in this workshop together to move past these kinds of problems. And I thank you for being here. So here's a tip. In your workbook, write down quickly, without thinking, 1 to 5 ideas, 1 to 5 things that pop into your mind that you'd like to try in your art. Okay, and you can do this after this call if you wish, but if you've got some things in your mind, go ahead and write them down quickly. There's a power in listening to your creative impulse. Okay, sometimes it's subtle. A lot of times we'll avoid it, but we need to notice it. So note anything you'd like to try and start with a question, what if? And you'll see it at the top of the exercise sheet. Okay, write down 1 to 5 things that comes to your mind quickly. Does it sound good? Great. So let's go ahead. We've been sitting here for quite some time, at least I'm sitting down, and the next part is absolutely critical. So right now, I'm going to invite you and I'm going to join you to stand up and stretch for a moment. Okay, so I'll do it with you. Okay. Stretch out, shake it out. All right. Move your body. And we're going to get going. So let me get my pillow here and sit back down. Okay. Let's see where we are. This massive mistake. Here we go, number 1. And it begins with a story. So after years of painting figures, landscapes, and abstract expressionist art, or abstract expressionist paintings, I understood the importance of mini starts, miles of canvas, working in a series, not licking the paint, moving past emulating others, and deeply experimenting. And yet I still found myself creating art that did not wow me. I still wasn't loving my art. And I kept wondering why. Why? What is it I'm not understanding? What is the missing piece? What is going on here? And I almost gave up until I had a conversation with my husband and partner, Dr. Bruce Sawhill. He's the Stanford-educated theoretical physicist and mathematician and musician who revealed to me a concept from science that blew my mind and transformed my art into art I loved, and also just the experience of creating art changed for me, and I enjoyed it so much more. And I think of this as the Sawhill secret. Do you want to know what this is? It's about creating art that is continually evolving. Not only starting and experimenting, but continuing to evolve your art. This is a game changer for creating astonishing art. And it relates intimately to mistake number 1, empty virtuosity. Empty virtuosity is a success disaster. This is when an artist mines a vein of high-grade ore until it's completely exhausted, after which she finds herself empty-handed and at the bottom of a deep hole. In essence, she finds herself in a repetition compulsion where she repeats herself in her art, and in the process loses sight of possibility. So this is the solution. This is the situation where the artist has moved past painting paralysis and past looking outside of herself and emulating others. She's moved past all of that. And just when she thinks she's got that solved, okay, and she's on her way with deep experimentation, this is when she hits mistake number 1, empty virtuosity. This is when the artist repeats not others, but herself. The danger of winning, of creating successful, astonishing art, is the danger of repeating oneself. This is almost the same situation as before, where the artist is still falling back on repeating, still falling back on what works. And paradoxically, she's no longer living at that edge. She's kind of falling back on a formula. Oh, this works. Maybe I'll do more of that. And it's like she's not living at that edge of evolving and stepping into the unknown. She's just trying to repeat successes, and she's really getting seduced by success. And so this can happen down the road as you've painted for a long time and you're doing great. So this is what we call the mining metaphor. When you mine the vein to the last shovelful, and then you find yourself at the bottom of a very deep hole with nothing left. As an artist, you take your success and you drive it into the ground through repetition. You take it down to death. And you become so focused on success that you lose curiosity, discovery, and expressiveness in the flash. So what is the solution? What is the Sawhill secret? The adjacent possible framework. The adjacent possible framework is about evolving your art continually. The essence of being an artist is continually evolving your art, where one form unfolds into the next, and it's like being in a river. It's ever changing and it never ends. What we're talking about is the big mama of all practices, the groundbreaking concept from theoretical evolutionary biology, formulated and articulated by Dr. Bruce Sawhill, who you met this morning, as well as Dr. Stuart Kaufman at the Santa Fe Institute in the early 90s, the adjacent possible. And I'm going to apply the concept of the adjacent possible to creativity and art. So the adjacent possible is the idea that each step you take illuminates a number of possible paths forward that were not only invisible before, but didn't exist before you took that action or made that move. It's co-creation, it's co-evolution. And it's sort of like the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, but a little bit different. In the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, your act of observing affects the thing itself, that which is being observed, right? Whereas in the adjacent possible, your act of creating affects existence itself. It's mind-blowing. So every move you make as an artist on your canvas is opening up the next possibility, the adjacent possible that would not exist if you had not made that move. And do you see that this is about continually evolving your art, continually unfolding into the adjacent possible, continually creating a new reality with your art? I think this is one of the most exciting concepts. Can you imagine exploring this in your art? What we're talking about is cultivating surprise. You simply don't know what's going to happen next. And what makes for us, and that really makes for astonishing art that's surprising, unpredictable, unique art from you, from your gestures, from your experiences, from your creative impulses. It's a mind-blowing big mama concept. So why is evolving your art, the adjacent possible framework, important? Being an artist is about continually evolving your art, allowing it to unfold and not be reduced to prescription or formulas. It's about reaching for your fullest self-expression and getting to the elusive, deepest work you crave to do. It's about continually stepping into the unknown, the adjacent possible, and cultivating surprise. This is where the most astonishing art comes from. The adjacent possible is the essence of creativity. Indeed, it is the science of creativity. Evolution has two parts: experimenting and selecting. And selecting is connected with decision. Without either of them, it doesn't work. And there are no experiments without starts. So it's all connected. Start, experiment, evolve. And we begin with the inner journey that affects all of this, because you got to trust yourself enough to go there. So there's the I, and then we have start, experiment, evolve. And we think of this as the IC methodology. It's not about copying others or yourself, for that matter. This is a dead end to do that. The danger of not employing the adjacent possible framework is that you spend years trying to figure out why your art doesn't excite you. Meanwhile, your art stagnates and you feel bored, lacking enthusiasm for your art. You lose confidence. You repeat what's worked before and you fall back into safe, predictable art. And you're just simply not reaching that deepest art of your dreams, that elusive deepest art that you yearn to create. So here's a story. This is the story of an artist who did not know how to access the adjacent possible framework in her art. So this artist finally began to trust herself and cultivate exploration, experimentation, and she thought she was on her way. She told herself, "You've got this," only to find that the siren call of so-called success reeled her back in with its clinging tentacles, beckoning her to repeat her successes, repeat what's worked before. She had sold out her solo exhibition. She was on a roll now, and she found herself wanting to repeat what she did there. Because, hey, it was experimental. It was surprising and astonishing, she told herself. And then she thought, maybe I can repeat that. I call this the nibulator. It nibbles at artists. It sort of carves out an adjacent piece and runs with that. It's barely distinguishable from what the artist did before. The reality is that it is hard to, move into brand new directions and take those risks for every exhibition. It's hard every day in the studio. But if an artist can continually evolve at the edge of that work, and not sit on it in repetition, not just simply repeat with ever so slight variations ad infinitum. The artist thinks, I'm on a roll here, I'm winning. But unbeknownst to her, she's cutting a Faustian deal. Pretty soon, the artist has developed a body of work that is relatively indistinguishable from the last work she did. And she's essentially circling. She's repeating not someone else's work, but her own. This woman was so frustrated, she tearfully told me she felt like a fraud, not a real artist. She knew that her paintings, though successful, were formulaic. She was losing her love for her art, and she felt like giving up. Can you see how this is a dead end? When artists hold on to their successes, even though they've started to stretch into the unknown, into experimentation, this tendency to fall back on the known, the familiar, the winning formula is seductive but deadening. You must learn to evolve your art. Specifically, you must learn the science of creativity, which is the adjacent possible framework. If you don't, you may make it to the experimentation phase, but you'll miss out on the most important part, the evolving your art part, that will take your art to the stratosphere of wow, to that place of continuing evolution. I know so many artists running around, working so hard on their art, trying tools, trying techniques, jumping around, trying to create art that stands out, wasting thousands of dollars, hundreds of hours of precious time on tools, techniques, and strategies that are dead ends. They desperately want the excitement of creating art they love, and they want to express themselves and share their art with the world and feel proud of it. But without mastering, evolving their art, they'll find that they can't find what they're looking for and start to feel lost. So please remember, you are an artist. You're here to express your deepest, most meaningful and alive art that is evolving. I've seen many, many artists struggle to create art they love and get fed up and feel like giving up. They hit a plateau, the creative impulse is calling them, nudging them to take the next step, to step into the unknown, but they're scared. And so they retreat back to the safety of the known. And even though they sometimes put their toe in the waters of experimentation, they're not really evolving their art. And it's tragic because it doesn't have to be this way. I've combined my decades of education at the intersection of art, science, creativity, medicine, and psychology, and all my training experience in my entire heart and soul to create a program called the Artist Journey Masterclass. And at this point, I'd love to share with you a little bit about that program, while still giving you great adjacent possible framework tips that you can use right away in your art. So how can you get your hands on the Artist Journey Masterclass program? The Artist Journey Masterclass program is a hands-on online home learning program with a combination of online training and live group coaching calls. These are breakthrough calls where we talk about big concepts and principles and methods to create the art of your dreams and move into your most alive and meaningful art and take those risks and go ahead anyway. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to come with me on this inner journey, accessing the adjacent possible in your art so you can finally trust and believe in yourself as an artist, express you in your art, and create paintings you love, creating the art of your dreams. By the end of 12 weeks, you'll be able to not only experiment in your art, but evolve your art. Why is this important? Because you'll be one of the few artists who know not only how to experiment, but also evolve your art by understanding and accessing the adjacent possible framework. The Jason Possible framework that we explore extensively in the Artist Journey Masterclass guides you to create art that excites you, art that scares you, art that wows you, and art you're not bored with. And this framework moves you past success catastrophes, that gnarly and deadly problem of repeating yourself, repeating your successes. That problem few people talk about. So we're going to get at the foundations again, like the roots and trunk of the tree, rather than the leaves and the small branches. I've researched and honed down years of knowledge from art, psychology, creativity, science, and mathematics to bring you the most exciting, unique, and comprehensive program that will simplify complicated concepts into understandable lessons that you can access with ease. And I figured out how to simplify such complicated fields as color, as well as composition and values, in a way that makes it easy for you to create your own unique art with excitement and confidence. You'll be able to take these concepts and principles and create art you love, art that astonishes you, art that is experimental and evolving, and art that expresses you. So I've told you about the overarching concept of the inner journey and the 3 big practices that will transform your art. And there's a great deal more to this that we talk about and learn in order to create the art of your dreams, that expresses your own voice and vision, such as intuitive composing, simplifying values, color contrast, and more. So at this point, let's review what we've covered so far. We talked about the big idea of the inner journey, and this includes trusting yourself, developing a growth mindset, and exploring your inner narrative. We also discovered 3 massive errors, 3 massive mistakes artists make, and that is painting paralysis, licking the paint, and empty virtuosity. And we discovered the 3 foundational practices for creating astonishing art. Start 0 to 1. Experiment the surprise benefits of ugly art. Evolve the adjacent possible framework. So let's talk about the benefits of each of these practices. Trusting yourself. Develop a sense of allowing. So you'll be able to create with aliveness, zest, confidence, playfulness, and ease. A growth mindset. This is so important to cultivating an attitude of possibility, and you'll do that. And the inner narrative, quieting the inner critic and learning how to encourage yourself. Start 0 to 1. You begin to develop a practice that makes starting easier, both in your art and life. Experiment. You get at the surprise benefits of ugly art and embrace this, opening up unlimited creative channels. And evolve the adjacent possible framework, bringing visibility to the invisible, shining light around corners, noticing what you'll pursue through experimentation. So I'd like to ask you for a commitment from you to move forward. First, I'd like to ask you to complete the workbook assignment within the next 48 hours. Okay, doing so is going to give you an experience of loosening up your artwork, accessing those creative impulses, developing an attitude of allowing, embracing the unknown. It's going to give you a sense of joy and ease and experimentation and cultivating surprise, as well as embracing ugly art. Because you know how important this is, right? But you still need more. Even though everything I've taught you today is great, it's just a sample of what we explore in the masterclass. It will take you part of the way to creating paintings you love, but you still need to understand the game changers of value and value contrast, composition and composing intuitively, The foundational principles of simplicity and constraint, which we know from science, and how this strengthens your art, and how to simplify color and work with color contrast. The power of maquettes or little studies, and working in a series and more in order to go deeper in your art. So at this point, you have a choice. You can continue to go it alone, or you can get the help you need from me as someone who has done all of this, been there, and who has developed a systematic program to help you do it faster and with more of a sense of ease and competence. I can give you the help and guidance you need to circumvent big challenges, wasted time, and all the frustrations and complications that you would encounter if you try to do this alone. I want for you to achieve the experience of feeling confident as an artist, of trusting yourself in your process, and creating the art of your dreams, art that excites and wows you. So I have some questions for you. Are these things you want in your life? Okay, and are you interested in getting there faster? Are you committed to doing what it takes to get there? Are you excited to start creating with confidence? And do you believe it is possible to trust yourself as an artist and in your art? If your answer is yes, then I invite you to the Artist Journey Masterclass. And we're going to get into the benefits in a minute. This is the hands-on combination of group coaching and online training that gives you the principles, methods, and concepts you need to create the art of your dreams, your most alive and meaningful art. So here are the benefits. You're going to break through blocks and create paintings with more ease. You're going to discover the surprise benefits of ugly art, experimentation, and mistakes. And you're going to discover your own personal lexicon of mark making and gestural expression. And here's what that means for you. You trust yourself and create with confidence. You open creative channels and evolve your art, creating paintings you love. And you express your deepest art that only you can do, that expresses you, art that is yours. So let's walk through this experience together of what you'll get. We'll explore 12 modules of art bundles, and 12 full painting demos are in there, where I take you through the process of creating painting and give you insights along the way about principles and concepts. Abstract painting foundational principles and concepts will be explored extensively. We'll have video lectures, video exercises, a progress tracker so you can see where you are. It's a 6-month program, and we have surprises and 3 bonus art modules, a private Facebook community, and 12 weekly studio live sessions where we get on together, which are so exciting. And here's what you're going to accomplish as a result. In Module 0, Studio Start, you're going to begin your inner journey by starting an art journal to document your journey and gathering provisions and supplies for your studio. In Module 1, working in a series, you'll learn how to take an idea and expand upon it in an iterative way, exploring variations as you experiment deeply and discover more about yourself as you create and evolve your art. And threading through all of this is the adjacent possible framework. In Module 2, Simplicity and Constraint, you'll learn one of the most important foundational concepts for artists and innovators, the power of the elegant solution, which we know about from science, and apply this to your art. And we'll continually notice the importance of trusting yourself as you take risks in your art. In Module 3, Scale, we'll explore working large, staying loose, as well as working small. Being an artist, you're continually making decisions When you start a new painting, one of the first decisions you make is, what is the scale of this painting? Okay. What size will you make it in particular? And we'll explore the siren call again of working large, staying loose that many artists have felt intimidated by, but we cut through that intimidation and cultivate an attitude of allowing as we move into larger and larger paintings. In module 4, color contrast, you'll learn how to simplify the enormous field of color. This is so much fun by employing visual contrast, by applying this concept of understanding what the eye is drawn to in nature and why, essentially the biology of vision. You'll move past being intimidated by this enormous topic and this complexity of color. So we're going to simplify it down, and that's very exciting. Then in module 5, value contrast, you're going to learn why value is a game changer and how you can simplify values, creating value maquettes that transform your art and your experience of creating your art. In module 6, intuitive composition, you're going to simplify the complex subject down to a few things that make 90% of the difference in creating powerful art. We'll also explore the idea of approaching your canvas with a sense of ease and a playful spirit. And this is a lot of fun learning about that. In module 7, we explore rhythm. The rhythms that are reflected in your life, in your body, and in nature, and how rhythms can create a sense of aliveness in our paintings, as well as movement, structure, and elapsed time. We'll explore rhythms in nature and in our bodies and how to translate underlying rhythmic structures and sequences to the canvas. In module 8, structure, we'll add another foundational concept of art to our repertoire. We'll notice the power of structure in creating a sense of calmness and tethering, and how as humans we yearn for it, even if just a tiny amount. We'll discover how important it is to have an underlying foundational structure in your abstract paintings in particular, and we'll explore the grid as well as what I call the organic grid substructure and more. In module 9, shape, we'll explore the rich world of shape and shape contrast and shape relationships that will help you to create visually exciting paintings. And we'll take note of the shapes you're most drawn to and the ones you tend to avoid, maybe you're kind of allergic to, and discover the potency of actually going deeper into those areas that we feel allergic to. And in module 10, color and color relationships, we'll circle back to color and value relationships, this time connecting those relationships between them and how to create powerful paintings with this awareness. In module 11, mark making, you'll create your own personal visual lexicon and vocabulary of experimental mark making as you explore various inner states connected to feelings, observations, and personal history. And in module 12, minimalism, you'll come full circle back to the foundations of simplicity and constraint that threads through this entire journey by stripping away the non-essentials and achieving simplicity and distilling your art to its essence. And you'll reflect on how your art mirrors your life. This has been a real game changer and eye opener for many artists who weren't sure they were going to like minimalism and then fell in love with it. So you never know. Lots of fun. Then we move on. We've got 3 game-changing bonus modules that could be a workshop in themselves, each of these. The first is the Zorn palette and abstract painting. This is a perennial favorite of masterclass journeyers. Many of my artists return to this bonus module again and again and making gorgeous, gorgeous colors. Variations and constraint is our bonus module number 2. You'll discover the power of endless variations and how you can work with constraints and contrast to simplify this. So variations and contrast and constraint, essentially. And then bonus module number 3, combinatorics, recombinatorics. This is a game changer. This is one of my favorite lessons and a favorite lesson at my live retreats, as well as in the online masterclass. It's a concept from mathematics that teaches us that the elements of creation work together in endless combinations. And we'll bring Bruce in on this one. We bring Bruce in on a lot of things because he can highlight so many things for us around mathematics and things like that we can extrapolate and explore in our art. So we'll explore this extensively. And again, each of these bonuses are like courses in themselves. So these are game-changing lessons you'll discover and implement in the masterclass. Okay, but you're not going to pay $44,000 like you would for a year of art school. And you're going to get these core things: 12 module course, 12 group live breakthrough sessions, the adjacent possible framework, and much more. So instead of paying $44,000 for 1 year of art school, the masterclass is $19.97, and we have payment plans. And we also have, if you are an Artist Journey alumnus of any of our courses, we've got something special for you, which we will send out in an email. So you can go over to artistjourney.com/masterclass and enroll there. So, you may be thinking at this point, this is fabulous, I'm so excited, but I'm not sure I have time. Not sure I have enough time to be in the masterclass. Well, that's why every lesson is distilled down to the essentials. It's like Pareto's law, the 20% of things that make 80% of the difference, or you can change those percentages around, but that's essentially what it is. We as humans have a tendency to complicate things, but one thing we know from science is that simple is better. We know this from Occam's razor, which is about the simple, elegant solution to explaining something. Many people complicate color, for example, and we have a solution to this predicament in the color contrast module, which is lots of fun, where we simplify color using concepts from simplicity and constraint. So you can use color with confidence and ease and excitement. I love Mark Twain, and I love one of his quotes where he gets at the importance of simplicity and constraint, which is a foundational concept that threads through everything in the masterclass. He said, I would have written you a shorter letter, but it would have taken too much time. It can be a lot to do to simplify things, but once you can do that, it's so powerful. I think you'll find that the Artist Journey Masterclass will save you time, precious time you can give to your art. So if this is compelling to you, I've also got something special on top of all of this before we close. It's a fast action bonus. And this is my 2-hour live virtual workshop that I'm going to be giving to people who jump on this and enroll in the masterclass and get this fast action bonus. Where we go live in the spring of 2023 and paint together, and it's so exciting because I believe that I'm going to take you through a series of exercises that will activate your deepest creativity. So go over and get that action bonus. It's going to be so exciting to do that with you. If you enroll in that in the next 24 hours, if you enroll in the masterclass, you'll get that fast action bonus, and we'll send out an email to confirm that you're in there. So I have a vision for you. It's a future of trusting and believing in yourself as an artist, creating your own deepest and most meaningful art that is alive, and art that you create with confidence and more ease, experimenting and exploring deeply and loving your art, and getting to the elusive, deepest art that you've come here to do. So I invite you to join me in the Artist Journey Masterclass. And let's do this. So thank you so much. And I appreciate you for being here. So I'm going to just jump on here now. I'm on here, but where I've got a bigger image. I've got to stop this share here and see if there's anything else. Yeah, I think we're good. So let me see if I can stop this share and just be on here. Okay, I think we stopped the share there. So this is about going inside. This is about getting into that elusive deepest art. You are here. It's the work of your life. You're here to create the work of your life, your most meaningful art. And now is the time. And I would love for you to join us in there, because like I said, I've gotten to get close in and see artists for years and observe what is going on for them where they're trying to get to their deepest art. So I would love for you to join us in there as we continue forth and experiment and evolve our art together as a group, as a community. Let me see what we've got here. I'm just looking at some things here, and then I'll jump over to some questions I think that are down there. Thank you, Nancy, for these. Okay, somebody says, oh, Tara says, I'm intuitively painting as I'm listening and watching. Yay, I love that, Tara. That's great. Angie says, thank you, Nancy. You have given me so much insight and valuable direction. You're so welcome, Angie. Pia is here. Hey, Pia. I'm looking forward to continuing my artist journey with Nancy. Pia, yay. It's so great to see you, Pia. Pia's in the master class. Valerie says, so much great insights I can apply to my 3-dimensional projects. Yeah, yes, sculpture or whatever, right? Absolutely. Sculpture was my first love, Valerie. I totally get it. Cynthia said, thank you for this information, Nancy. I will think about the masterclass. We'll need payment plan that is affordable. Yep, we got payment plans. Just go over there, look at it, and then write to us at support@nancyhillis.com, and we will, talk you through that. You can also get on a call with Bruce, and we'll figure it out. So don't worry about it. Ingrid says, thank you for your commitment and love your book. Thank you, Ingrid. Appreciate it very much. I got a smile from Angie. Rainey says, thank you. You're so welcome. Is Shawnee, sorry, my eyes are like blurry right now. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Angie, you're the greatest. Oh, you are. Thank you, Angie. Christine says, thank you. Hey, Christine. Kathy, thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Kathy. Anne, thank you, Nancy. This is very interesting. Yeah, I love this. And is it Mona Lisa? Thank you, Nancy. You're so welcome. Lori Hess, is this self-paced over the 6 months? Oh, very good question, Lori. So what we do is the first 12 weeks, we go through this intensively, and absolutely you can, and we drip it out so it's not overwhelming. After the first 12 weeks, then we get into the bonuses. So those first 12 weeks, I go on live every week, in a call, which is fantastic. Then we do the bonuses after that, where I go on live. And then, that whole 6 months, you can then, after we're through the 12-week intensive, you can go back in at your own time and leisure. Many artists do that, taking their time and all of that. And I always say you can't get behind, because wherever you are is exactly right. And it's totally fine. So anyway, thanks for that, Lori. Okay. Yeah. So Annabella, why don't you write to us, Annabella? If there's extreme, what do you call it, currency differentials, we work with that and figure it out. So write to us at support@nancyhillis.com. If you're in a place like, I think South Africa is extreme currency differentials, right, Bruce?
Yeah.
And we work things out on that. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for your lovely notes, everyone. Mike, you're welcome, Mike. Audrey, you're welcome. Bev, thank you, Nancy. Thinking, yay, good. Donna Jones, are you sending us an email about the masterclass? Yes, definitely. That goes out, I think, within a few hours. Okay, but yeah, we'll definitely be sending you that. Carol says she's not able to take a masterclass, but plan to dig into the book, The Adjacent Possible. I love your concepts you present. Thank you, Carol. And be sure and get the new one when it comes out too. Okay. Sylvie, thank you, Nancy. Timmy, thank you, Nancy and Bruce. Carol says, thank you. You're welcome. Ariane, this is Ariane, so great to see you. Hugs to you, and thank you for sharing your genius with us all. Oh, this is sweet, Ariane. I love seeing you in here always. Tricia, I'm sorry, Trice. Thank you, Nancy. Valuable information and rewatch. We'll rewatch this. I would need a payment plan for this. Definitely. Like I said, go over there, artistjourney.com/masterclass. We have payment plans. And if you need more help, write to us at support@nancyhillis.com. Okay. Elena, thanks, Nancy. You are the real deal. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and abstract artist. Fantastic, Elena. I would love to hear more about your work. That's fantastic. Kat Crosby. Thank you, Nancy. Hey, Kat, great to see you. Is it Pedro? Thank you, Nancy. You're welcome. Okay. Is it Anek? Okay. Thank you very much, Nancy. What you taught us goes deeper and help us see, feel, experiment the idea of evolving art. I will think about the masterclass. I love art, but I am doing many other activities. Okay. Well, we hope to see you in there. Anek. Hillary. Same for me. So looking forward to continuing, Nancy. Oh, it's so great. Hillary's in the masterclass. She's absolutely fabulous, fabulous artist and person. And that in. Oh, good. Trice. When does the masterclass start? It's October the 3rd. October the 3rd. That's all on that page there, artistjourney.com/masterclass. Kat Crosby, I love that you give us artists permission. Yes. So, and give permission to yourself. Okay, sense of allowing. Marcy. Oh, Mercy, sorry. Melok. Merci. It is really resonating to me. I am going to purchase your book. Thanks again. You're so welcome. Mona Lisa, in which order should I read your books? Oh, Mona Lisa. So, let me show you. So probably, if you want to, I would say start with the artist journey, bold strokes to spark creativity. And then, so this is kind of like a workbook, okay? And that's like a companion book, this creativity journal. That's if you want to do a workbook type thing. But if you want to mostly read, I would say my first book, and then after that, this is an author's copy, The Adjacent Possible, Evolve Your Art. And then we'll have the forthcoming book in about 3 weeks that follows on that. Okay. So thank you for asking. Okay, so Joy says, is this a real-time class or do you take it as you are able? We sometimes are gone and traveling 1 to 3 months. Okay, how can you do a real-time live workshop if you're traveling? Well, hi, Joy. So here's the thing, is that we track along together for the 12 weeks for sure, and even into the 3 bonuses too, okay? And then there's other things that I give. And every week I go on live, and you can join that even if you're traveling. It's like, you know, an hour to hour and a half every Tuesday. I do have some people who aren't able to make those calls, but they watch the recordings, and those are always available if you can't make the calls. So, and I've had people who do travel who take it. So, and, you know, if you want, you can just do it at your own pace. So you don't have to come to those live calls if you don't want, but they're extremely valuable. And you can certainly watch the recordings. I have a wonderful artist in Australia who watches the recordings because it's so early to get up for her for those live calls, which is 10 o'clock Pacific time in the morning. Heather, how long do you have access to the content of the masterclass? Okay, so the way this goes is this. We track along. We've got a 6-month program where, especially the first 12 weeks, and then a few more weeks where we're doing the bonuses are really, really important. And then you can kind of go at your own pace. And we're tracking along, you know, with various calls that come in and surprises that come in over those 6 months. After the 6 months, you can just stay in there and it's fun. What we're going to do at the end of the 6 months is offer a membership for those and it's basically a monthly thing that's is very, very low cost. It'll be the Artist Journey Academy, where you can stay in and go to all the lives after those 6 months if you want to go to, you know, join new groups that come in. And also we'll be doing 2 calls a month in that membership. So again, that's after the 6 months. So, but if you don't want to continue on, you can still just stay in there, you know, and access the course for, you know, as long as we're around. So that's what we're doing. Okay. So the 6 month is just more like, it's a bit more like the active part. Hope that's clear. Pia says you're amazing. So you are too, Pia. Thank you. The session starts, we begin the first week in October, and we'll start on Monday. I believe that's October 3rd. Are the lessons pre-recorded? Yeah, so in the portal, we have a course that I've created. It's the masterclass with all these concepts that you go through. Those are already done and recorded. Okay. The live part is, so you know, each Monday there's a new art bundle that opens. Then the live part is then you jump in on Tuesdays on the live call. If you want, you don't have to if you don't want to, but we have so much fun and it really helps. And you get to know people better that way. And it's really fun because on those calls, you know, it's on Zoom and you can talk. So I get to know you and you get to know me and you get to know the other wonderful, amazing people in there. So that's kind of how that works. Kathleen Wilson, thank you, Nancy. Great insight, tips, and stories to make it so real and doable. I have the Adjacent Possible and the Artist Journey workbook. Is it or abstract art only? Very good question, Kathleen. No, it is not. Now, we, in the sense that we have artists in the masterclass who create more representational paintings, you know what I mean? And because what we do are these big concepts. And yes, you know, I'm really into abstract expressionist painting, and that's kind of, you know, that's what I've been doing lately, but I have a background in representational painting. But we do get some people who don't do abstract, expressionists, but what they do is they extrapolate from what we're doing to bring into their representational art a sense of more aliveness and loosening up and confidence, you know what I mean? And so forth. Because I have a lot of friends who are representational painters and they want to get some elements that are a little more abstract in there, but still have it be, representational. And so that can happen. So you can be a representational artist and be in there if you like. And we would love to have you. All right. And let's see who else we got. Okay, somebody says not clear, 12 weeks plus 6 months after that. It's 6 months period. Okay, so of like active. So from the beginning of October until the end of 6 months. Okay, that includes the 12-week intensive that we're doing in the beginning. Okay, so it's 6 months. And then again, at the end of the 6 months, if you're like, okay, I got it, then you can just still access, the course portal. Okay. But if you want to keep going with the calls and be in the new groups, and even I give these little workshops, where we go in and paint together, then you do at the end of 6 months, then you can join us in the academy. But you have to have been in the masterclass to do that. Okay. So, and then you just go from there. Okay, hope that's clear. Jane says, this has been the most generous 2 hours. I'm very overwhelmed just now. It answers questions I've had for 10 years since I need to loosen up from all my detailed pro work, but it is so different. I will need to go through again, read the notes I've taken, pages full, wow, and digest and absorb. Okay. Sadly, my pad soon won't stand the cost of masterclass, but I will do my best effort to take it all you taught today. Can't thank you enough for the generous time you've given to put this all together. Bless you. Oh, you're so sweet, Jane. Well, if you are an alumnus or, you need a payment plan or anything like that, let us know, Jane. You can only talk to Oz and talk to Bruce. But anyway, I'm glad you got a lot of value out of this, and that's what's important. Stephanie, thank you. This fills in some gaps for me. See you in the masterclass. Yay! Look forward to it, Stephanie. Okay. That'll be so much fun. And the amazing people in there too is really something else. Abby says, really enjoyed the workshop today. It all makes so much sense. Would love to take a masterclass hopefully soon. Just a bit too expensive right now. My main art is abstract using lots of shapes. Again, Abby, talk to us if you need to do a payment plan. If that helps, let us know. We do have a payment plan, so it's fine. Yeah, that's good. Okay, someone asked, do you have to be available online October 3rd? You don't. Okay, like I said, I've got people who can't make the calls, but have had just love, or they make some calls, but not all. You don't have to make every single call. It's totally fine. It's totally up to you. You'll get massive value because you'll get the recordings of the call too. So don't worry about it at all. And then what happens if, if then you come to the second one, I love to meet everybody. So anytime I'm aware that maybe somebody couldn't make it for the first call, then I get to know them on that second call. So it's totally fine. Don't worry about it. Angie says the Adjacent Possible was a great read. Thank you, Angie. That was lots of fun. You're going to love the next Adjacent Possible in that series. Because the cool thing about that is I brought in 25 artists. Most of them are artists who are in the masterclass, but two or three are like friend, maybe three are like my buddy friends out there in the world. And we extrapolated the adjacent possible. We had them write up little vignettes, or Bruce helped to write them, but little stories from each artist. And then we've got amazing art from them. So that next books have lots of pictures of art in there. Joy. Okay, Boatwright says, as this class starts in October, roughly when will the next start in 2024? Is it once a year or every 3 months? Well, it's going to be the last time for this year. We'll have it again in 2023, I believe. I don't know about 2024. Trice is doing another art class for 4 weeks, starting 10/17, traveling 10/13 to 17, then you start 10/3. Feels a bit overwhelming. Well, you know, it's up to you, Trice, but I'm telling you, this is a game changer, and this is the opportunity. You know, I do believe you can't get behind, because wherever you are is exactly right, and you just track along. There's plenty of time. I mean, you know, there's those 6 months of different calls we do and whatever. And then after that, you can just still keep going round and round. So, and exploring it. So there's that. Oh, Elizabeth Cassidy, you're so sweet. You said you're so generous and my art has improved. Yes, you are fabulous. Plus, I love being part of this group. Welcome to the masterclass. We are worth it. Yes. Elizabeth is so fantastic. Thank you, Elizabeth. We do have so much fun in here. All right. Peggy says, thanks for today, Nancy, and I'm enjoying your books and looking forward to your new one. Yes. Can't wait. It's going to be out, like I said, about 3 weeks. Thank you, Peggy. Kathleen, thank you. Goodbye, my love. Oh, that's so sweet, Kathleen. Oh, you're so sweet.
Hey, Nancy, there are some questions on Facebook.
Okay, let me jump over there then. I'm just scrolling along. Okay, Hosner was answering some of these. Let me jump over there. Hold on just a second. Let me pull that up. Give me a moment. Here we go. Thanks for mentioning that, Hosner. Okay. Let's see what else we got. From Bella, does technique come in at all? Yes, there is technique, but it's not the core of it. The core is concepts, principles, the big concepts, okay? Yes, I mean, I think technique, you just kind of pick it up, drop it, whatever. So we're not against technique, but we just don't think art is technique. And the problem is we see so much art that's just so driven by technique, and it just ends up being a dead end and very boring and looks like everybody else's. So that's the deal. But yeah, there is some technique. Oh, this is a good one. Lorraine says, I don't have a studio. I have to scale back on the size of my paintings because of space restrictions. Any suggestions? I'm an abstract painter that typically works on 36 by 36 average size gallery canvases. Fantastic, Lorraine. Guess what? You can paint anywhere. I have a very small studio right now, but I have painted over the years in outside, okay, in kitchens, in foyers, in garages unheated, in garden places unheated and dripping with rain, and believe it or not, in a bathroom. You know, I had this bathroom that had kind of an antechamber in it. It wasn't very big, but I set up an easel in there and painted in there, and it's very small. My very first place that I had. So don't worry at all. And in fact, I have a story of a fabulous artist who he's very left brain, and he can design anything. And he designed a studio, a gorgeous studio for a woman down in the mid coast of California. And it was like, I don't know if it was 1,200 square feet, 1,800 square feet, whatever it was, but it was gorgeous. North light, everything. They got the studio built. She had the perfect, elegant studio, and she never painted again. And it became this, like a bright white canvas that just absolutely intimidated her. So there's a lot to be said for constraint. And there's a lot to be said for the constraint of having a not perfect studio, or not even having a studio. Okay. I mean, there's a lot to be said for having to work with constraint. We know this from innovation. It's at the core of creating. So I wouldn't worry about it. But thanks. That's a great question, Lorraine. Someone asked, do students get real-time feedback in the master class? Well, we talk to one another. Now, let me be absolutely crystal clear. I am not a fan of art critique, and you will not get art critique, because I'm not a fan of painting by committee or looking for the answer outside of yourself, right? Now, that said, there are considerations, there are concepts and foundational pieces and principles that we can take and explore and expand upon in our art, and yeah, if one asks, about some feedback, that could happen, but it's not going to be an art critique. It's not going to be saying, this is what's wrong with your painting and this is what you need to do. We don't work by recipes and formulas. And one of the problems in art and in creativity is crystallizing too early and looking for the answers. Give me the answers, outside of yourself. What we want to get at is a rhetorical self-assessment of where you can learn to access your art and analyze your art and determine whether it works for you or not based on your understanding of these principles that can really help strengthen a painting. But there's no absolute answers in art. Art is not a mathematical equation. It is subjective. And what we really want to get at it in that deepest art is not a formula, not a recipe, not an art critique. So that's like a whole big thing. I could go on for like 3 hours on art critique and why I'm not a fan. But having said that, I do believe in rhetorical self-assessment, and we talk about that in there. And yeah, if you ask me, hey, can we talk about this? We can talk about it. Okay. So that's what I would say about that. The masterclass artist can tell you more about that as well. Does it work if I do figurative art? Yes. Do you know, this was like after sculpture, the first thing I did was figurative art and also paintings of horses. Absolutely. And I got lots of friends who are figurative artists. I was really into abstract figurative art. And so you can play, you can take these concepts, play around with what we do as, with our suggestions of things to potentially explore. And then you could extrapolate that into your figurative art. So absolutely, you can do that. And people have. Oh, someone says, I took the artist journey class. Is this an advanced version? I imagine there are modules repeated. This is completely different than the artist journey 3 secrets of the masters. Okay. So the artist journey 3 secrets of the masters was my very first signature course where we got at 3 big things: the inner and the basically composition and values. The master class evolved out of my work with Studio Journey in 2017. It's essentially what we used to call Studio Journey Masterclass, literally. We're just going back to our artist journey name, and it is essentially the Studio Journey Masterclass. So it's completely different. I've got artists who have taken all my courses and they're like, wow, this is an absolute game changer. Completely different than the 4-module or 5-module 3 secrets course. So there's no repetition there. Is this self-paced over 6 months? It absolutely can be if you want. We do, however, encourage you to, if you want, we would love for you to move with us together, particularly those first 12 weeks. That's where we focus in on those first 12 weeks so that we're like, okay, this is what we're doing in art module number 1. This is what we're exploring in art module number 2. But you still, having said that, you can do that self-paced if you wish. So it's totally up to you. When does it start? The first week in October, October 3rd. How long do you have access to the material in the masterclass? You know, once you're in, okay. The first 6 months is more like we'll have some calls threaded through those 6 months. We'll have that live 2-hour, you know, fast action bonus happening in there. You know, we'll have surprises happening in those first 6 months. But after that, you could just keep tracking along and going through the material for, you know, as long as you want. Does this class cover a variety of mediums? Oil, acrylic, watercolor, pastel? Well, what we do is it's really mixed media. We use acrylic, inks. I use watercolor, I think in the shape module. I've got many artists using watercolor. It's totally fine. I do sometimes bring in pastel, oil pastels and chalk pastels, you know, here and there with some mark making. I haven't been doing oils, but you can. I've got artists who do oils in there. I might get back into my oils. I got a bunch of oils around here when I used to paint oil landscapes and figures. So anyway, very good. Those are good. I'm going to jump back over. Those are the questions I see. Hold on just a second. Let me jump back up here. Okay, here we go. All right. Nancy, there's a Nancy on here. Thank you so much, Nancy. I must hop off now. I'm rejuvenated. Yay, I'm excited for you, Nancy. Trice says, is there a prerequisite for this workshop? The prerequisite is that you believe in you jump in here and you're willing to do the work and you believe that you can do it, but there's no hoops to jump through or tests or anything like that. It really boils down to you saying, yes, I'm going to do this. We have fabulous artists and they're very advanced, amazing artists. We have some artists who just jump in and say, I haven't done much of this, but I'm going to do it because I want to be around these amazing artists. It is a game changer. Sonia says, Nancy, so many aha moments. Yay, today I have been painting while you have been sharing your wisdom. Thank you, from Sonia. Thank you, Sonia. That is great. I love that you were painting during that. That's great. Okay, Anne says, I need to leave now, but I really appreciate being able to join in. I am very interested in the analogy with evolution. We'll definitely explore your books. Fantastic, Anne. Okay, Joyce says, oh, I meant 2023, time flies, but it's not that fast. Going to be traveling in Spain, January through March. We'll miss 3 months. We'll bring a sketchbook, but unlikely to do any painting. It's totally fine. I have plenty of people who, excuse me, travel, you know, and you can bring an art journal and you can just work in your art journal if you want. We definitely have people doing that. You don't have to have a huge studio. You don't have to work large. I've had many people travel, so we'd love to have you, Joy, if you can join us. And that would be so fun. And if you want to use PayPal, I saw that coming up. Posna says, write to us at support@nancyhillis.com. We can arrange that. It's totally fine. Jeannie says, enjoyed this so very much. Terrific presentation. Thank you. Thank you, Jeannie. Really sweet. I'm just scrolling. Let me just get up because I missed some at the top. That was so sweet of Hillary. Just a second. Thank you. Thank you, Carol. Yes. Thank you all. Angie, Ian, Rainey, Ingrid, Cynthia. Let me scroll up a little bit more. Okay. Okay. You just scroll down a little bit. Okay, let me go down to the very bottom. Okay. Jane says, I'm still listening and have got out my dip pen and some deep green ink and made marks. Love it. Lovely, flexible nibs, so thick and thin lines. Thanks, Jane. That's great. Okay. Somebody wanted the workbook. Deanna C says, thanks again, Nancy. I really appreciate the workshop. Thank you. I think we're good. Bruce, you want to come in and say bye and thank everyone? Again, I invite you to join me. This is about going deeper into that elusive, deepest art you yearn to do. This is about, stepping into the unknown, going inner, painting from the inside out, not the outside in, working with big mama concepts of the root of the trees and the trunk of the tree, not the little bitty, extras out there that don't make a big difference. We want to get at the big things and employing concepts from art, science, evolutionary biology, adjacent possible. We bring in this beautiful hunk, Bruce, to talk to us. Anybody in the masterclass knows that.
I promise there won't be any equations. I know that Nancy's talked about math, but here's a secret about math. Just like art is not about paint, mathematics is not about numbers. They are both about patterns, and that's where the commonality comes from.
Oh, yeah. And just like art is not about technique, we use it, but it's not the thing itself. Okay, that's a huge concept to get past and to get at the bigger concepts so we can really experiment and evolve and take your art somewhere new. Isn't that the idea? We don't want to just keep repeating ourselves. We want to go somewhere new. We want to take our people out there somewhere new, right? Who love our art.
Also, if you would like to get more information, because this is a pretty big decision, you can book a call and talk to me. You can just go to the Artist Journey website and there's a button that says book a call, and you get 15 minutes to talk to me.
Bruce, people love Bruce. I mean, he is a great asset to the masterclass. Amazing person. And Catherine's asked, Catherine Collier, is this class only for abstract art? In a way, you could say that all art is abstract. However, we're talking, abstract expressionists and all that. And that is what we do. However, I've had many artists in here who paint landscapes, who paint figures, who pull from the concepts in here, extrapolate it into their art. Okay, so loosening up their art, perhaps making it a bit more abstract, although it's recognizable. So I guess the short answer is no, it does not have to be abstract. So just so you know that. Ariane, Fibonacci, the best art. Remember Ariane?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Fibonacci sequence. Oh yeah, Bruce gets in there and talks to us about these things. And combinatorics, recombinatorics. Remember that, Ariane? That's a real favorite. And artists just eat that up and they get it like fast. And that's a big game changer. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
And then we've got these fabulous artists in there who share so much of their gorgeous art journals, you know, all their experimental attitudes, cultivating that. We learn so much from each other too, and it's just amazing. So, yay. Yeah, Fibonacci, that's great. Thanks, Ariane. All right, so I think we're good. We've been on here, wow, almost 2 hours. Wow, that's so great. I thank you all so very much for being here. I invite you to come join us, be a part of this. We can get to know one another. We get to do this together, and it is great fun. And I think you'll love it. So I hope you join us in here. I appreciate you. And I wish for you that you live your most meaningful life and create your deepest art and enjoy it. And do that with as much ease and confidence as possible. And again, I'd love to have you in here to help you see what the path is for you with your art and where you want to take it. How do you want to evolve your art, and help you through the challenges that show up for us as artists along the way. So thanks again for all your kindness. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, Nancy. Come for the art and stay for the community.
Yeah, it's an amazing community. So appreciate you. Have a fabulous day, and I hope to see you in the masterclass. So see you soon. Feel free to reach out to us, artistjourney.com/masterclass. If you want to get on a call, go to artistjourney.com. That's the website. You will see on the page, like, give us a call, click on the button, book a call with Bruce, and we'll go forward. So, and thank you, Hosna. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pia. You're so sweet. Best of week to you too, Pia. Can't wait to see you on these calls soon. And all of you. Thank you, Kat. So great to see you too. Wonderful to see you as always as well. I see some friends here that I've known. Okay, you all have a great time. Thanks, Hosna. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Have a great week.